Okay, this is an Audacity master class. Actually, this is some kind of practice before the actual master class. The actual master class will be starting from July 7th. And before that, I want to make sure that all the things are correct for me. The master class is basically Zoom meeting, six Zoom calls, which you can attend. And if you register for this master class, then you will also get the recordings afterwards. After I take the sessions, you will get the recordings. So what is actually in this master class? Well, the master class is actually uh, 8 modules, and these 8 modules, I'll cover these 8 modules through 6 video calls. Each video call will be 1 hour length. So in this video, I'll discuss about the module on getting started with Audacity. But you can also see other modules like editing essentials, like how to understand the timeline, how to navigate through timeline confidently, this kind of thing. And then all the things you actually need to do for o- professional work like voiceover, or to produce audiobook or create great quality audio for podcast or voiceover. All those things will be covered in this masterclass. So this is the first one. Before I actually start the masterclass, I want to practice a bit so that when I will be actually taking those masterclass live through the Zoom, then all things are in place. That is the goal. And for some of you, my accent would be a bit difficult to understand, but please don't worry. On the recordings, I will actually make sure the subtitles are actually correct, and through subtitles you can understand actually what I am saying, because it will be a shame not to get this quality of uh, learning materials just because of my accent. And I'm a bit of proud because what I have done so far. I have another channel, the Master Editor channel, that is quite popular, and through that channel I was able to take complete beginners to publish their audiobook. I was able to help complete beginners to win voiceover jobs, and I was able to it is not always the complete beginners. I also help professionals like who are already experienced, but I was able to help complete beginners. That is something I think bit of unique, even on YouTube, because there are lots of good teachers on YouTube, but I think most of the contents are actually kind of uh, most of the contents are for people who have already some experience, who understand some of the things. For those contents are useful. But the way I make my content, it is actually so that the every anyone at the beginning of their career, at the beginning of their audio journey, can understand and do the things. So enough self promotion. And if you want to take part of the full master class, I'll give you the registration link, and from there you can register for the master class. Okay, so for the registration I'll be giving you this. For the registration, I'll give you this masterclass link. You can actually register from this. So let's now focus on the module on getting started with Audacity. And in this module, we will discuss about how to install Audacity, and then the audio interface and mic setup inside Audacity, understanding the sample rate, bit depth, and a bit of navigating the UI, and some of the recording best practice. So let's see how much I can cover through this video for module 1. Each class will be 1 hour long, but for this one I'll be around 30 minutes. So maybe let's see which topics I can cover in this masterclass. So now if you go into the Audacity website, audacityteam.org, you will see that the latest version is 3.7.4. And if you have already installed Audacity, you know the process. But time to time you have to actually Audacity updates will come in and you have to install Audacity version, and it is actually important to know how to install Audacity properly. If you install from this download Audacity 3.7.4, the um, button with yellow background, you will actually install both Audacity and Muse Hub. You can see the second link that says that download without Muse Hub. So what is actually this Muse Hub thing? Do you want this Muse Hub thing, or why this Muse Hub is offered through Audacity? Well, the Muse Group is now the company that is behind Audacity. So Audacity is now developed and maintained by Muse Group, and Muse Hub is one of their product. The company Audacity is open source product. Audacity is free product. It was like there was a free community who was taking care of Audacity before, but Muse Group has purchased this software. It will remain free. So it does not matter that the group has purchased this, so we have to pay for using Audacity. We don't have to. Audacity will be free. It is still open source, but Muse Group is actually taking care of all the development of Audacity, taking care of which features will go in, how the interface will look like. All these things are now taken care by Muse Group. So they have their product called Muse Hub, and the Muse Hub offers some plugins, some kind of uh, software. So if you want to use those with Audacity, then you will need it with the Muse Hub. But if you want to use plain Audacity, you don't need the Muse Hub program. So for beginners, I'll always recommend, unless you know why you need Muse Hub, I always recommend that you download through this link, download without Muse Hub. So when you click through that link, then it will detect your OS automatically and you will get a file. So for me, it is a universal DMG file because it is a Mac. If you are using a Windows, you will get a exe file. So whatever file you get, you save into a location. So I had previously saved that file, so it is asking me to replace. I'll replace. Okay, so I got the file and I'll go to the location. This is, and if I double click here, then the installation process begins. And for Mac, if I just drag this to applications folder, then it will be installed. It is already installed, so asking me to replace. I'll just replace. So this is the process of installing in Audacity in Mac. If you are using Windows, you just click next, 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 and the Audacity software will be installed. So once Audacity is installed, you can open it. And to open that Audacity, yes, this one I have actually both an older version of Audacity installed. So this one, the Audacity.app, this is the latest one. I'll be using that one. And it is not trusting because of it is installed outside of the Mac OS app, Mac the App Store. I will just click open. So now Audacity is installed, and there is some kind of a static pop-up where they will share some of the things of Audacity. You can just, if you want, you can check those, or otherwise you just click OK. And if you do not want to see this window every time you start Audacity, you can click on this, do not show this again at a startup. So I'll click OK. Now this is the interface, and this interface is actually the interface you can see, and this interface is actually not the default one because I previously had installed Audacity. I have made some changes. So what I can do, I can go to view toolbars and reset toolbars. If I go that, so this is the interface you will get when you first install Audacity. And if you have never used audio editing software before, then you will feel like there are lots of buttons, but that is not the case. Audacity has the simplest interface among any audio editing software. And uh, if you just get used to it, use it couple of times and like understand what are the things are doing, then you will see that it is not a lot. And once you get confidence of using all these things, then you can use Audacity for professional voiceover, for audiobook, for podcast, or making the audio of your content better. So anything you want to do related voice related audio, you can do in Audacity. And of course, not all professional voiceover artists use Audacity because Audacity has a stability issue, and like when will be using it for professional voiceover, you will need to use third-party plugins and such, or you will be looking for a better workflow where Audacity may not be the best. So for professional voiceover, you will need to migrate to another software eventually, which offers better features, advanced features, or complex works. But as a beginner, as a starting point, Audacity is good. And if you learn Audacity well, you can actually take that knowledge and apply it to any other software, because the basics of audio recording and editing is same across any software. It doesn't matter which software you use, the way you have to record, the way you have to process, the basics are the same. You have to learn the basics, you have to learn the philosophy, you have to learn the how and why, and then you can actually migrate this knowledge. You can take that knowledge and apply on other software. So if you learn Audacity fast, then it will be easier for you to use and understand complex software better in later. So this is the interface, and let's see what thing I wanted in the module on. So first thing is the audio interface and the mic setup. This is part of actually the recording process. So if you want to record something in Audacity, you can just click on this record button and the recording will start. You can see that the recording have started, and what you can see on the blue things, those are the waveforms. So these waveforms, we actually edit these waveforms later. And to stop the recording, you will click the stop button. So the recording has stopped, and you have what you have got. This is the waveform, and you can actually play this to listen the audio, and you can actually you have to do all the editing and processing on this waveform. This is the way to do in Audacity or any editing software. If you record, you will get a waveform and you will edit that waveform. You can think this waveform kind of like a document editor, the way you can actually select and delete or copy paste. All these things can be done with a text editor. The same thing can be done in this waveform. But you see that recording is just straightforward. I just click the record button and the recording started, but that is not the way to do the recording for high quality audio. Because here what I have done, I have not selected any microphone. I have not checked if the proper microphone is selected, and I have not taken care of any other audio settings. I just click the record button and started recording. So what is the issue with this approach? With this approach, you actually don't know if the proper microphone is selected. So if you are not using mm, the correct device for recording, you will not get very high quality audio. So that is a big issue. So what you have to do before recording audio, you first have to check the microphone, and you click on the audio setup button and then go to recording device, and here you can see which microphone is selected. So there is a tick mark beside the MacBook Pro microphone. So the MacBook Pro microphone have been used for recording for the last session, but I want to use it. This microphone, you can see this microphone. This is a Sennheiser microphone, but it is actually connected through an audio interface Scarlett 2i2 USB. So I want to use this for recording. So what I will do, I will just click this one, and now Scarlett 2i2 is selected. I can be sure by going to recording device. You can see that now the tick mark is beside the Scarlett 2i2 USB. So if I now click on record, then this microphone will be used for recording. You can see that. So now the Scarlett 2i2 USB has been used for recording, and you can see the waveform, and you can see that this microphone is actually a, a cardioid pattern microphone. So this is on directional, just it captures audio from one side of the microphone. So you can see that less noise in these areas. So this is something You have to know about your microphone, that which side of the microphone is strong. The microphone can have several patterns: cardioid, supercardioid. It can have omnidirectional pattern. So you have to know the polar pattern of the microphone, and you have to make sure that you are talking from the correct side of the microphone. But before that, you have to make sure that the correct microphone is selected for recording. So the way to do it is to go to audio setup and recording device. But you can see that this process is actually kind of lead to a mistake, because if you don't go to audio setup button, you actually don't see the microphone. So you have to make sure before recording you check the which microphone is selected. Another way to prevent the mistake of recording with wrong microphone is to show the device toolbar. Go to toolbars, and this is the device toolbar. If I click on device toolbar, you can see that a new panel has been added, and in this panel, this is the microphone icon, and you can always see actually which microphone is recorded, which microphone is selected. So you can always see which microphone is selected. You can also change the microphone from here. So this is convenient using the device toolbar. If the device toolbar is always there, then you actually know that which microphone is selected, and that kind of prevents uh, prevents uh, the error of recording with a wrong microphone. Now I'll close this out and discuss about some other settings. And then after this recording device, there is also another. This one is called the recording channel. So if I go to audio setup, after the recording device, you can see the recording channels. That is mono and stereo, two options here. And for you, sometimes you may see only the mono option, no stereo, or if you're using a mixer, then you may see many other options as recording channel. So for voiceover, you have to use the mono. You don't have to think otherwise. There is no reason to use other kind of recording channel for voiceover. For music, it is okay to record in stereo, but for voiceover, it is better to always record in mono, and that will actually make things more easy for you. If you record in stereo and your channels are not set up correctly, sometimes you will see that you are getting audio only on the left side of the microphone. So this kind of thing happens. So to make things simple, you have to use mono. And for voiceover, for audiobook, for podcast or whatever thing, they always accept the mono audio channel. They always accept the mono recorded audio. So, and if you need to convert a mono to a stereo audio, you can always do that later. So there is no need to make things complex at the start. Just select mono, make sure you are recording in the mono channel. So this is mono. And we see the option is both in the audio setup, and also that option is also here in the device toolbar. And in the device toolbar, the last option is actually the playback device. This playback device we need to use when we actually going to play the audio after recording. That's when this playback device needed. During recording, the playback device don't have that much importance. You can see the playback device here. But if you are recording and monitoring your audio, so if you are using the live playback, live monitoring, then you will actually have to be sure which playback device you are using during recording. So what is live monitoring? If I go to transport options, then you can see that there is option called enable audible input monitoring. So you can see in podcast, you would see that people are talking, and at the same time they had their headphone plugged into their ear. Because why? Because they are kind of monitoring how kind of audio, what kind of audio they are getting now. Because if they go too far, the sound will change. If they become too close, then sound will change. So to speak in constantly to speak in consistently, they use the live monitoring. Sometimes people record in voiceover or audiobook, sometimes use this live monitoring thing. But for voiceover, if you already have control, like your environment, how you are going to talk, from which from how far you are going to talk, in which direction you are going to talk. If all those things are in place, I do not think that you will need live monitoring. But in case if you want to use live monitoring, then you have to enable these options. Enable audible input monitoring. I'll keep it as it is. So you do not need to think about the playback device unless you are using live monitoring, or otherwise you can just concentrate on the recording device and the recording channel. You record your audio, and then before you start playing it back, you actually select the playback device through which device you want to select. Maybe you want to listen it through headphones, maybe you want to listen it through speakers, whatever it is, you select that at that time. So there is one more thing there is one more thing you need to there is one more thing you need to make sure before recording, that is the input level. You can see there are two meters here. One is the recording level and another one is playback level. So what it does, like when you record, then you will see your level in this recording level. You can also see that without recording. If you click on the microphone icon and enable silent monitoring, then you will see that your level is showing on this meter. So your talking level, it is important to have a good level, good recording level for your recording. Otherwise the processing, the later processing will become difficult, and you may have mistake in your recording settings that is preventing you to getting from the ideal level. So what is the ideal recording level? The ideal recording level is actually being around -12 to -6. Do not cross -6 during recording, and be inside minus do not cross -6, and it should be like -12 to -6 most of the time. Then it guarantees that you are getting a good audio level, and that is easier for processing. If you go too close to the microphone or talk too loudly, then you will be recording in the red region, and while you are in the red, then there is chance of distortion, there is chance of clipping, because when the audio actually crosses zero, you can see the meter is the maximum value in the meter is zero, and if you go past beyond zero, then Audacity or any audio editing software is not capturing this audio, so those audio is gone, you can't recover it. So that will be leading to some problems that you can fix later. It will be distortion, clipping, your audio will sound basically bad. So on the other hand, you don't want to record in too low, because if you are recording in a very if you are recording from a very mhm, uh, from very far, then you will not get too much. So if you're recording from very far, then you are not going to get a good level on your meter. So that is also your audio, inner quality of your audio is not good. So avoid this complexity. It is always better to have the correct level in the meter. So the mid recording level should be between -12 to -6. That is the actually rule. Do not cross -6. And but the recording level is not the end of everything. Sometimes people are talking from the proper distance, but they have turned down the gain knob in the audio interface or the microphone. So on those cases, you are still getting good quality audio, but that is not showing on the meter. So it's like there are lots of ifs and else, but you do not need to think about those. If you can get a good level during recording, then you know that you are getting a good audio data. You don't have to worry about it later. So that is the way to check the recording level, and I can disable the silent monitoring. And another thing which you don't need to change, but you need to be aware of, that is the sample rate and the sample format. The default sample rate is 44.1 kilohertz, and it should be like that. You do not need to use lower or higher than that, and you do not actually need to change this, because there are lots of lots of tutorials that some will say that use 48, or some will say that use a higher value, but you don't need to actually change that, because there is no benefit using a higher value. uh, in general case there is no benefit. It will take too much disk space. All those audio files will take too much disk space with this all these high levels, and sometimes your recording devices may not be capable to process this kind of higher sample rate. So and the audio quality you get from 44.1 kilohertz is not uh, kind of differentiable from a sample rate of 192 kilohertz. So there is no uh, benefit on using hash sample rate for us. Also, you should not choose a lower sample rate either, because if you choose a lower sample rate than 44.1 kilohertz, maybe 8 kilohertz or 16 kilohertz, then what happens that your audio quality will not be good. So 44 is the best value regarding the disk space it will be taking and the audio quality you are getting. So that's on. And another thing is the sample format. Sample format you should use 32-bit float. Sometimes you will see in advice like use 24-bit or 16-bit. You do not need to do that. Always use 32-bit float. And if you use 32-bit float, then what happens? You are actually getting more room internally in your computer to store the data. So, and when you have more room like that, there is less chance of distorting the audio data. And if something is has gone beyond the range on the meter, it can be recoverable. Those kind of thing can be done with the 32-bit float. However, it is like a good practice to use the 32-bit float. You do not need to use something other than that. And those people who are doing audiobooks, they actually will see some requirements regarding the bit, but that are actually encoding bit. So encoding bit, file encoding bit, and this default sample format, these are actually different things, different concepts. So you can record in 32-bit float, and when it is time to export, you can actually export in the your required bit. So no need to do that from here, and that is not the same thing. So that is kind of mistake to do that thing here. So the so it is like you do not need to change anything. What the default settings, use this one. But I want to just make sure that you know these things. So those are the things for recording setup. You check those things. You make sure that all those things are in place, and then you start recording. And that is the way to start your recording. So that in that way, you can be sure that you are capturing good enough audio data. And about this meter, like as I said, that when you are start talking, it should be -12 to -6. But if you feel that it is not actually getting into that range, then you need to actually turn the uh, audio interface knob or the volume knob of your microphone, turn up that, or make sure that you are talking from the proper distance. All those things, check all those things, and then you will get onto that level. And if you are getting into the red region, always on the red region like -30, getting close to that, then that means actually you are talking too loud, or you are maybe closer to the microphone, or the interface, or you have set too high gain on the interface. So that is the way to actually check those things. So that is the recording part, and we also covered the sample rate, bit depth, mono, stereo, and then the two things like navigating the UI and recording voice. So so all this thing I'll be covered in masterclass regarding this uh, rest of these modules, and other modules. All things I'll be covered in, discuss in the masterclass. If you want to get access to this masterclass, I'll give this link in the description. You can do it from here, or otherwise I think if you like the content, if you like what you have seen so far, please give the video a like. Thank you so much.